At this time, I'd like to call the AFAS Frederick Area School District January meeting to order. Has a meeting been properly noticed?
Yes, it has. With the note that on our initial posting, we had December 16th date. And that was my fault. That's been rectified.
Okay. And it was posted before the 24 hours?
Correct.
Okay. At this time, could we all please rise for a pledge of allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there a motion to adopt the agenda?
So moved. Second.
Motion made by Jim, second by Ken to adopt the agenda. Discussion. Hearing none, we'll start this vote with Joanne.
Yes.
Ken.
Yes.
Jim.
Yes.
Kathy.
Yes.
Melissa.
Yes.
Brian.
Yes.
Jeff.
Yes.
And my vote is yes. It passes 8 with one not absent, and she's been excused. Leonard has been excused. Board of Education reports. Anyone? Pretty quiet. Students of the month. Tonight, Mr. Betcher will be handing out the awards for Student of the Month, and we'll start with Grand Marsh Elementary.
Come on.
Craig, Heather, if you want to take pictures, you can come right up front. Get right up here.
Yeah, there's chairs up front to take
Don't be
pictures.
afraid to come on. Come on up here. Get in the middle. You're the center of attention, girl. All right. She's shy, but she's quite sweet. I usually don't present anymore because our teachers usually do, but Mrs. Moore is actually gone tonight. She is down at the basketball game, actually, and as highly as she thinks of one, I've got 4 pages here to read, so get ready. No, I got, that's how highly she thinks of our student of the month, so no, we're good. As Mrs. Moore writes, she says, I'm so proud to announce Alana Docknell as our student of the month at Grand Marsh Elementary School. As a first grader, she is always prepared and ready to learn in class, which she is. She excels in math and is always looking for a challenge. And during writing, she will write stories with details and use vocabulary words to describe things that make you smile, such as, like, the fox is feisty. And she likes to really be descriptive in her writing, so she really does a great job. Alana will also help others draw animals when they are illustrating stories. There's a theme with the animals part here, you'll get in a sec. They will seek her out to help her with any of the artwork. Alana is also very kind and caring, which is one of the greatest traits you have at school. She's a great friend to all, and on the playground she'll be found playing with everyone and anyone. She includes everyone and helps others feel special when she compliments them during the morning meeting or special occasions. She is a student we can count on to follow the Grand Marsh way in the classroom and in all areas of our school. Alana has a love for science, and you couldn't guess with the animals and the words that she wants to be a scientist when she grows older. She's curious about learning and has a great love in all aspects of science. She's already chosen for the Student of the Month in Phi-Ed this year, and Mrs. Moore also writes she is so very proud of Alana and the work she does at Grand Marsh, and already looking forward to have a great rest of the school year. Our Student of the Month, Alana Docknell. Alana? And with that, Alana, you know how this goes. You get to wear their medals, and I love to see these. Our students wear them around the school all the time during the day. There's an ice cream card, and then our book. There she is. She's got books for you. Okay, Alana, there you go.
Congratulations.
AF Middle School.
AFE.
I'm sorry, AFE.
AFE, sorry.
AFE, I'm sorry.
Perfect.
I was like, it's not going
No, it's okay.
That was fine.
No, it's all good.
anywhere. Okay. So I'm so happy to present Bianca Smith, Student of the Month here for AFE. I am so proud of her. She is a reliable resource in the classroom and at Adams Friendship Elementary. She comes to school ready to learn. She uses her time wisely, follows directions, and is always engaged in her learning. She takes initiative when something needs to be completed or someone needs help without being asked by me, which is huge. She is a positive role model to all students of the expectations of Adams Friendship Elementary, and she has a going above and beyond attitude, and I'm so proud that she's my student.
There you go.
Now, we have social.
Student of the Month for Adams Friendship Middle School, where we have the theme of making AFMS a better place this month, is Sarah King. Now, can I tell them a story about how you and I first met? You remember? Your mom remembers. So when I first met Sarah a couple years ago when she was an incoming 6th grader, she didn't want to talk in a meeting. She was very shy and was clearly overwhelmed by the bigness of our school. And that has blossomed into the fine young lady that we see here now. So I know that when I think of who makes AFMS a better place, it's definitely Sarah. She brings a positive smile. She's always willing to help out around the school. And she's always such a respectable young lady. And every time I see her. So I appreciate having her, and these are what her teachers said. Sarah gets along with all students. When faced with challenging science concepts, she maintains a positive attitude and doesn't give up. She loves to read and brings her books to class, has multiple times throughout the years asked her teacher what she can do to volunteer for the school, and helps the teacher with classroom jobs. She's kind to her friends and always a positive outlook on life. She loves to be involved in activities both during the day and after school day. Sarah is kind to everyone, works hard, and never gives up. She's polite and cheerful. She's in every project. She works hard in every project she's assigned. She's polite and respectful, shows kindness and care to her peers, also willing to help her peers without having to be asked. She tries to make class a pleasant place to be, even if she's not having a great day. She doesn't make it a negative space for others, and is a wonderful asset at the middle school. When we talk about doing what's right when nobody's watching, I think of somebody just like Sarah, and I think of Sarah. She's definitely an asset to our building, and we appreciate her as our Student of the Month.
We have 2 high schoolers. Kevin, you want to?
Yep, Luke Thompson's here to present Rebecca Rydell.
Hello, my name is Luke Thompson. I teach Phi-Ed Physical Education at Adams Friendship High School. And I'm honored to present the Student of the Month of December to Rebecca Rydell. She is in my competitive PE class. To sum it all up, she's the type of student that any Phi-Ed teacher would like in a kind of competitive Phi-Ed class. She brings a great level of competitiveness to the class, which is awesome for competitive PE. She tries her best no matter the unit. Whether it's a unit that it's one of her favorite, or if it's one that she doesn't like particularly very much, she tries her best regardless. And as a Phi-Ed teacher, I find that very respectful to the subject and to me as her educator as well. Of course, she is always very respectful to her peers, and as well to her teacher, myself as well. So, congratulations.
Thanks. And then November Student of the Month couldn't make the November makeup meeting, so Linda Stage is here to present Cheyenne Bliss.
I nominated Cheyenne Bliss out of her consumer math class during first trimester. November, it was the end of the trimester. And I was thinking, and I was just proud of her growth. And then I was just thinking, I've known her since she's been in 6th grade, and I'm just so darn proud of the young woman she's become over these 7 years. She possesses a strong work ethic. She knows what she needs to do to have success in the classroom, and she'll take steps to make sure that she can have that success. She has become an advocate for her needs, and she's very self-reflective. She's creative. She has a very active imagination and a great sense of humor. She's a good friend, and she's loyal to her friends. She's the daughter of Angela and Mitchell Bliss. She'll be graduating in May and is planning to enroll in Job Corps. I've grown quite fond of Cheyenne, and I know I'm going to miss her. Congratulations.
Okay, all award winners will go out in the hallway. Harriet from the paper is going to take your pictures. Families can leave at that time, or you can come back to the meeting. It's up to you. So make sure all award winners get out in the hallway to see Harriet. Holly, we're going to do you in just a second as soon as they kind of clear. While Harriet's out in the hallway, we're going to have Holly do her student council report for us. Harriet always gets a written copy from us anyway, so go ahead.
Okay, so for Grand March, Monday, December 16th, Student Council kicked off their Holiday Spirit Week by Christmas caroling classroom to classroom, then giving each student and staff member a holiday treat. They then went into the community and caroled at Adams Community Bank, Grand March Post Office, Merck's gas station, and other local businesses. Everyone was so excited and very thankful to see the children singing. While in Merck's gas station, a customer was so touched she gave each member a $1 bill. The kids were so surprised and appreciative. They ended their caroling with cookies and hot cocoa. And on Tuesday, they had Red and Green Day, and Wednesday was Christmas Cookie Decorating Day. Each student was given 2 Christmas cookies to frost and decorate however they wanted. Thursday was Ugly Sweater Day, and on Friday they finished out the week with Pajama Day and a visit from Santa Claus. He delivered to each student a coloring book, colored pencils, and a candy cane. Grand March closed out the week together as a school in the gym with a movie and popcorn. At the middle school, the student council members were busy before holiday break. Candygram sales ran from December 12th through December 18th. All students got at least 1 candygram delivered to them before vacation. Student council also sponsored a holiday spirit week. Students had fun competing against grade level homerooms for the honor of inheriting the traveling trophy. So Monday through Friday they had different dress days. And then they will be working with the mayor to make some school and community connections throughout the rest of the year. Middle school girls basketball, wrestling, and powerlifting have hit their seasons and are busy practicing for their upcoming games and competitions. 8th graders will be attending a soft skills presentation at the end of the month as a component of the capstone project, and junior band and cadet band members have started rehearsing for solo and solo. And then at the high school, student and staff enjoyed pre-holiday fun day on December 20th. There were over 60 winners for the prize drawings. Leadership Day with the Bucks was a success on December 16th. 10 students and 2 staff members attended. There was a council meeting on January 8th, and another one is scheduled for the 29th. Setup and takedown for the chocolate affair is happening on the 31st and February 1st. And members who attended WAC camp this past summer attended Camp Reunion on Saturday, January 4th. It was a fun time to catch up with all our friends from camp while playing some fun activities. Thank you.
Thank you, Holly. Board have any questions? Hearing none, we'll move on. There's no public comments tonight. Is there consideration to adjournment to closed session? Is there consideration to adjournment to closed session? Is there consideration to adjournment to closed session? Hearing none, we'll move on. Consent agenda, is there a motion?
So. Second.
Motion made by Joanne, seconded by Melissa to move the consent agenda. On the consent agenda tonight, they have one co-curricular Mike Pease for middle school basketball coach, a hiring of Nicole Betcher as a paraprofessional after-school program, and then the minute meetings from 12-16 finance, policy, and regular. Discussion, any more discussion? Hearing none, we'll start this vote with Ken.
Yes.
Jim.
Yes.
Kathy.
Yes.
Melissa.
Yes.
Ron.
Yes.
Jeff.
Yes.
Joanne.
Yes.
I'll abstain. 7-0, 1 abstention. Moving on, administrative reports. AFE administrative report.
I wanted to update everyone on our after-school program at AFE and some of how we're using the community service funds. So currently we have about 70 students a night on average, and that's for the whole school year. We are currently doing some different programming. We have a Zumba class once a week that students can choose to also go to. We just started a yearbook club last week. There are fourth graders that were kind of applied to be part of the yearbook club, and they're creating the yearbook. So almost like a high school yearbook, but with support with the teachers. So this is the first year we're trying it. We'll see how it goes. We also have ran some family nights that we typically have ran in the past, but some that are going to be new coming up. Our November family night, we served over 200 people Thanksgiving type meal and had activities for them, like a game night. We also had our winter holiday night where we served over 300 people food. And then we had each grade level kind of came up with their own activities, and parents and families kind of interacted that way. We have a school dance that will be on a Monday night. It's very easy to find a DJ, just so you know, for a Monday night. It'll be on a family night, also lighted schoolhouse, so it will be a free meal, free entrance into the dance, and a lot of fun with about probably 300 people running around the gym. If you'd like to be entertained, please come and join. We also have a few things starting. We're in the after school program, 4-H and the Adams Be Healthy committee. They're coming and going to be doing lessons with first through fourth graders in our after school program starting in February. We also have a parenting with like a trauma lens. So anyone that would like to participate in that, it is an 8-week class, and it will be on Monday nights so that they can have a free meal and then have the class for the 2 hours. And those are some of the things that we have planned, and we're using the community service funds that the community has given us and voted on. So
I'd just like to piggyback on that. You know, it's always interesting when you utilize community funds. The after-school program was really started with grant dollars, and when those dollars expired, the board approved levying the community to continue that program. And if you haven't stopped by on a Monday night, there are a lot of people there, a lot of kids there, and a lot of adults when you have the meals. And then on any night during the week, it's impressive, and it's a service to our community that I think is really valued. So thank you for approving it.
Grand March.
Grand March, a couple things. One, we talked earlier about that STEM room that we have down there. We've got that. It's basically completed. It's always something tinkering with it, but it's fully operational is how I should state it. Right now they got Osmos going, they got computer coding. There's things like that happening, But there's also, right now they're going through the life cycle, the first grade and second grade especially. And we have animals. We have a garfish, a big garfish, and we bring worms and feed that. And we've got a gecko now, and we're looking at how that's got to stay warm compared to a fish in water. And one of the things Grand Marsh is doing is naming the gecko. That's going to be the big contest. But the bottom line is kids use those kind of things for those science that Alana loves so much. And it's really exciting to see how they're using those type of experiences in that room. And our staff uses that room to go in. Mrs. Peterson has activities that they take into. So it's really expanding the way that we were hoping that it would. So that's kind of what's going on with that. And then we have one project going on in literacy that our kids are really experiencing. Our 1st through 4th grades are all writing to a school in North Dakota. They're pen pals. So what they're working on is they have to work on writing the topic sentence and then the 3 supporting sentences, the fancy stuff, but yet they get those experiences from someone else. And they're reading about what it's like in North Dakota or what their lives are like. So it's a really great experience for both life lesson and the literacy part. So those 2 things are happening in Grand Marsh that we've been fostering and going to keep working on through the year. So what's going on academically down there? All right.
Middle school.
Michelle was not able to join us tonight, so you guys get to hear me talk a little bit. I've got just some things that that Michelle and I talked about in regards to the state report card. So the state report card is on the agenda tonight for us, and we wanted to just share briefly with you all what are some of the things that we've already put into place to address what we know are just some improvements that we need to make. So we're always looking to improve. That's one of our mottos. Never settle. I'll highlight a couple of them for you, and as always, you know where to find us if you have any more questions, just so we don't go through the whole thing all night. One of the things that my team always jokes, I like to quote high school or college football coaches. So national championship is on right now, and I always quote Nick Saban. It's about the process. So anything in education is about the process. Everything that's successful is about the process. You have to take some time and do it right. One of the pieces of that process is building culture. And building culture and climate, there's some educational theorists that say culture and climate eat strategy for breakfast. So that's one of the things you heard last month. We talked about how we've worked real hard at continually improving our culture and climate. And this is what we consider really the next phase to what we're doing for our improvement. So as you can see, there's a whole host of things, or probably more. This is just what we could write down for the half an hour we got together this morning. A couple of things I just thought I'd highlight is one of the things is we're piloting the Plc Framework. So that's something that we're working on as a whole for all levels with Laura and the team. And what that is it's working on narrowing our focus on student achievement when our staff is getting together, and we have our collaboration meetings where we set aside not staff meetings but collaboration meetings, where this year our long hour-and-a-half staff meeting or collaboration meeting is solely focused on being intentional on the student achievement and those practices that they will use in their classroom. And along with that is we are analyzing our data. So we're using that ACT Aspire data and really dissecting that as to the areas that we need to improve our instruction, where some of the skills our students may be lacking. As you've heard previously a couple times, the capstone has really been a cornerstone for making those authentic connections. We always talk about relevancy, and especially middle school kids need to understand the relevancy and the why it's so important to learn some of the concepts that we teach them. So that capstone has been a big piece for our daily practices. When we cite some of these things have already been in place administratively. Moving to the mini observations, we feel has been a very positive change for us, so that we are able to get more feedback on a constant basis for all our staff. So that's been a big help. And one of the big pieces for us at the middle school was the schedule change, where we changed our structure for our 6th grade to a blended house concept, as well as we mixed our 7th and 8th grade. And you've heard a little bit about that before, where we're focusing on the skills, on those core instructional areas. And we're finding and we feel that that's become not only a culture improvement, having those kids mixed, but also being able to focus on those skills we're hoping is going to prove some dividends in the future. So that's just a few of the things. One of the other things that Mrs. Johnson wanted to make sure I mentioned was middle school and high school are collaborating on that reality day. So if anybody's looking to do some volunteering or helping out with that, contact Michelle or Kevin. It's in sometime in April.
April 1st.
There you go. That's all right. So thank you.
Thank you. High school.
The high school, we got one major thing starting right now, which is scheduling. So students this week start class meetings, and then next week we'll start scheduling for next year. So that's a big undertaking at the high school where students get to choose from all the options that we have. And then hopefully by the end of the year we have a nice master schedule ready to put out there and ready for students for next year. Another thing that the SIT team, our school improvement team, is looking at doing, and hopefully we'll have a proposal to you in about May, would be converting to a Loudy system at the high school. It's a trend now, but also right now we have weighted grades and we have a top 10 by GPA rank. We're looking to change to a Loudy system similar to like a college, except in college it is just GPA, but you can recognize more people. A Loudy system in high school honors some other pathways besides just a college pathway or just the college pathway that requires a bunch of AP classes. You can honor capstone classes in tech ed and career classes, and you can honor some of the higher level work that might not be AP level, might be dual credit and other things, and recognize those students at graduation. So that's what we're looking at. We would implement it, we're hoping to implement it next year for incoming freshmen, and then graduate it up to when that class graduates in 2024. So,
Kevin, how do you spell Loudy?
Loudy, L-A-U-D-E.
Could you send us out any article or anything about it?
Sure.
Thank
Yeah.
you. That's what I was going to look
And then we'll have a proposal too with a lot of the information that you want.
You said you're going to start scheduling.
Yep.
Is the schedule going to change at all? I've heard rumblings both ways.
Our SIT team is looking at what schedule fits our school and students the best. We wouldn't change anything for next year. Next year would be an implementation year. So this is a year where we're studying it as a SIT team. So right now it's still a trimester 5-period day for next year. Okay. Thanks.
And if I wouldn't mind, if you don't mind, could I talk just briefly about the Loudy system?
Yeah, that'd be great.
My former place of employment was one of the first school districts in the state of Wisconsin to implement the Loudy system. And what we were observing is that once students got past their sophomore or junior year, if they had a high GPA, they tended not to challenge themselves like we had hoped. They didn't want to damage their GPA. We moved to a Loudy system where we could recognize students for the difficulty of the classes that they were taking. It's not a weighted grade system. And also the more advanced classes. And what we noticed over time, two things. First of all, we had many more students take our more advanced classes without the fear of getting an A, B, or C, because they still got Loudy points if they did that. So it really increased the academic scores. And then the second thing is that it increased our ACT scores dramatically. One of the things that we believe helped boost our ACT scores was that students were taking classes that they historically hadn't taken and were just exposed to more challenging material and consequently did better. So I came from a system that implemented that probably, and I believe we were the first in the state of Wisconsin. It was probably 10 years ago. So it was before I was superintendent, but I was one of the principals at the elementary level during that time.
Thank you.
Director of Instruction.
Sorry.
So, not a lot is really new. It's just further work that I've been working on with everybody else, really, on reading curriculum at the elementary level, well, elementary and middle school, K through 8. Just doing a lot of research to find out what's best for our kids. And the teachers have been measuring the pros and cons of, I think, 5 different curriculum companies, materials, And so we're going to be wrapping that up within the next month. So we have some more meetings at AFE on Wednesday, and we have one more sample coming in for people to look at. So we're just really want to make sure that we have let everyone get a fair shot at reviewing the materials and knowing what we're looking at. The other thing I'm working on with Barbie is our Rti program. So we're working with the interventionists and school psychologists and really trying to make our RTI system work the best for our students, to best serve the students who need it the most.
Questions? Director of Pupil Services.
So the focus for the next couple months in special education when we have in-service is really around reading, because all IEPs are supposed to be addressing reading, regardless of the student's disability. You always have to talk about how their disability impacts their reading. It's a question, like I said, regardless. So what we find is we got to make sure that all of our teachers, our special ed teachers, have a good solid reading background. We are having quite a few people come into the field who don't necessarily come from a traditional education to be a teacher, so they don't have as much reading background. So that's our focus for the next couple months. In addition, working with Laura and others, really looking at our curriculum that we're using, and when we're looking at new curriculum, making sure that there's an extension inside the curriculum so that it's easier to address the different level of learners that are in the regular ed environment, then also that there's an extension that could later then be retaught or maybe pre-taught in the special education room. And another thing that Laura and I were talking about today, and I've been gathering information, is I really want to look at the curriculum we're using in our ISP rooms. So ISP is our individual support program, so those are our students who have more significant disabilities. And sometimes there's not a lot of curriculum out to address their varying needs, but I really want us to go ahead and look for what best is fitting our students. So that's where we're at now.
Just a question, how are you supporting those without the reading background? Are they going to take a class or?
Coaching, a lot of coaching.
Okay, coaching.
Coaching, the interventionists have provided a lot of support, and then also the special education teachers who do have that more robust background.
So coaching and mentoring. And just so you're aware, this is an issue throughout the state of Wisconsin. It's not only Adams French Area School District that is hiring special ed teachers that don't come from traditional education backgrounds. And most of those students are in alternative licensing programs. They meet maybe once a month on a Saturday. And those programs, we know, don't provide the intensive reading instruction people that go through traditional education programs experience. So we're looking for ways to try to make up those gaps for those individuals. They're serving our students very well, and we're trying to address that need.
Thank you.
Our student services grant coordinator is ill tonight, so we'll go on to district administrator report.
Sure, I've got a few things tonight. First, it is Adult School Crossing Guard Recognition Week, and Carolyn Stafford Taylor has given us a proclamation regarding adult school crossing guards. We have a number of them at some of our busiest intersections at our schools in Adams Friendship proper, and we hope to recognize those people. I did send a letter to the newspaper that I hope hopefully gets published. The next thing, next week, we will have 2 meetings, Monday night at 6 p.m. at Grand Marsh Elementary School, the 20th, and then the following night, Tuesday the 21st at 6 p.m. at AFE. We hope to provide some information about our changing demographics, but also provide people from the community an opportunity to talk about their questions and concerns about the Grand Marsh facility as we move forward. So I encourage you guys to come to that. Next week also is the state convention. I believe Mr. Bays is our delegate, I believe, and there are 2 resolutions that are particularly important for our school district. The first is Resolution 20.05, which discusses transportation aid for high poverty school districts. and who would provide additional transportation aid to students living outside a 2-mile radius of schools. And that would be a large part of our school district. And then the next one is weighted funding for low-income pupils. And the resolution, it's 2.20A, and it talks about using a multiplier of 1.2 FTE in general school aid and revenue limit formulas for students that come from districts that have a high percentage of students who are economically disadvantaged. So that would also be, both of those resolutions would be particularly beneficial to the Adams Friendship School District. And then finally, on a personal note, my mother-in-law passed away at the end of November. I did not talk about this at the board meeting in December, but I'd like to thank the board members for a donation that was made to the Madison Public Library, where my mother-in-law served as the foundation director for many years, and also to Mr. Pease for attending her visitation. So thank you all very much.
Question? Moving on, policy, Melissa.
Okay, so are we moved all of the policies
Into second reading?
well, they were in second reading,
Right.
so we approved all of them.
Okay, so are you going to make a motion?
So I make a motion to approve all of the policy 1400 job descriptions, policy 2420 education for employment, 21 policy 3120 employment for professional staff, 5113 open enrollment program interdistrict, 5114 non-immigrant student and visitor programs, 5341 emergency medical authorization, 5501 high school yearbook senior portrait photo guidelines, 5512 use of tobacco and nicotine by students, 5517 student anti-harassment, 5610 suspension and expulsion, 6150 tuition income, 6220 budget preparation, 6235 fund balance, 6440 cooperative purchasing, 6520 payroll deductions, 8330 student records, 9130 public requests, suggestions, or complaints, and 9150 school visitors.
Is there a second?
Second.
Kathy? Motion made by Melissa, seconded by Kathy to approve Neola policy second readings of, I'm just going to read the number, 1400, 2420, 3120, 5113, 5114, 5341, 5501, 5512, 5517, 5610, 6150, 6220, 6235, 6440, 6520, 8330, 9130, 9150. Discussion. I want to thank the policy committee because they have, I believe, caught up. Is that correct, Stace? Oh, she's saying no.
So we're still one.
We are doing a great job.
We are doing.
We're one update behind still, or more than that?
Well, we'll be 2 behind by January.
We're working.
They're working on it. I thought we were caught up because there was no first reading this time, but some more just came in. Well, that's how it closes up. But they have done a really yeoman's job catching up with all the policies, so thank you. Is there any more discussion? Hearing none, we'll start this vote with Jim.
Yes.
Kathy.
Yes.
Melissa.
Yes.
Ron.
Yes.
Jeff.
Yes.
Joanne.
Yes.
Ken.
Yes.
And my vote is yes. It passes 8-0. Anything else, Melissa? Finance, Joanne.
Okay, Finance Committee met at 6:50. And on behalf of the Finance Committee, I move to approve general fund checks numbered 81942 through 82099 and ACH checks numbered 2000118 through 2000142 and 2656 through 2679, totaling $1,079,434.37, and activity fund checks numbered 30887 through 30942, and ACH check number 1135 totaling $38,274.79 for the month of December.
I'll second that.
Motion made by Joanne, second by Jim, to approve general fund checks 81942 through 82099, and ACH checks number 2000118 through 2000142, and 2656 through 2679, totaling $1,079,434.37. And activity fund checks number 30887 through 30942, and ACH check number 1135, totaling $38,274.79 for the month of December. Questions? Hearing none, we'll start this with Kathy.
Yes.
Melissa.
Yes.
Ron.
Yes.
Jeff.
Yes.
Joanne.
Yes.
Ken.
Yes.
Jim.
Yes.
My vote is yes. Passes 8-0. All business, review of COBA bus.
Oh, we still have the implementation of the
Yeah,
audit.
implementation.
Implementation of
Auditor
audit
recommendations.
I did not bring the actual auditor recommendations with me, but I do want you to know that what we are currently working on, some of the concern that the auditor had was that certain people in my office had too much from start to finish, paying the bills and entering the new vendors and stuff. So we have taken away that and have assigned it now to the purchasing person and myself. So we enter the new people, and so that way that the accounts payable doesn't do that anymore. We have also had the district secretaries in Dr. Warman's office now opens all the mail. So she slits it open, she signs that she's the one that has received it, dates it, and then passes out the mail back to us. And we have implemented some things so that when she looks at it, if she sees anything that's past due or anything else, those come to me now. And if we saw anything that looked legal that kind of did that, they would go to Dr. Foreman. Where you can separate so that people can't maybe have some problems and they keep working on it, but we don't know about it. So it's just some of those little guidelines. One of the other things is that they had wanted me, suggested that we try to invest our money and make some interest. And so because because we short-term borrow and sometimes we don't have a lot of money, but when we do, the state trust fund or the local government investment pool has a way that you can sweep money into it daily if you want to and then bring it back. It's very liquid and it's easier to do right from electronically, and it also designates the money to a different place so that all of our money isn't in one bank and not being FDIC backed. So if it's okay, next month we would have to designate the local government investment pool as a depository, and then we would have to do a resolution. Then we have to send a letter to the state controller asking for to use their funds, and then hopefully that would all be set up by February or by March, and then we can start investing our money down there. So that is something that I'll be working on and will bring to you in February. And then on Thursday, Dr. Wormuth and I are going to be meeting with Oregon State Bank, Adams Community Bank, and we're going to be talking about them pledging some collateral against our deposits, so that just in case, like, we would get other assets to make sure that covers our balance that is in our thing. Now, do I think they're going to give us $3-4 million? Probably not. But to even get some of it, they're talking a little bit of how they might average it, our average balance. So we're open to hear what they have to say, and then we'll bring that back to you also in February.
What is the risk here? I mean, if we're going to put publicly funded into that, there's got to be a risk here that we could lose some of that if the market sharply goes down on a given day.
At the state?
Yeah.
It's pretty solid. It really is. You're not making big interest, so don't, I mean, we're not really investing in anything lucrative. I think right now, they might be getting 1.5%, 1.6% on.
It's basically a money market fund because you're sweeping money in and out as we need it. And that's one of the concerns that Ronnie and I talked about is how liquid is this? I could be wrong, but I think I recall in the past you could only have like a certain number of transactions per month. They've eliminated that, so it's much more fluid than it used to be. And we probably, through short-term borrowing, we were estimating today about $25,000 that we spend on an annual basis through.
We actually do spend between $8,000 and $16,000 in the last couple of years of interest.
Interest.
To short-term borrow.
So there might be some value in investing in, like the state investment trust as an example, and being able to get a little bit of interest on the money when we get infusions from the state 4 times a year. And at that point in time, the other issue is banks will only insure up to $400,000 of that money when we get those infusions. So if the bank that we do business with were to fail, we don't anticipate that happening, but if it were to fail, there's risk associated with that as well.
But what I'm hearing about the meeting with the bank is to cover that risk.
A little bit.
Correct. Is that what I'm?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Ken.
Will the finance committee then oversee this going in and out of monies? Will that?
I would not, I would say we would get the reports, but I would say that because they do it daily, there's no way that we could see it,
Monthly report?
a monthly report of it.
It would be like the transactions that currently exist.
Jeff?
Can we contact our insurance broker to make sure that we have coverage because we're doing large amounts of money electronically for potential fraud, that we have coverage for the limits that we're exposing ourselves to if we're moving money electronically? I think it's an additional coverage potentially.
I mean, I love the idea. I'm just worried about the risk.
Well, again, that's another risk is somebody, and it happens all the time with governmental entities and non-governmental, so make sure that we have coverage for that in our policy.
Are there a lot of other school districts doing this?
I used to do it in different schools that we did, and I actually now remember that we used to have sub-funds so that, you know, currently when we do a building project, I actually have 2 checking accounts that are open, one that makes interest and one that doesn't because of the number of transactions, but they're both at the same bank. So that doesn't really help the $400,000 limit, but it's a different way now that we could sweep money out and maybe on that given day and still make interest. So.
Anything else, Ryan? Any more questions? Thank you. Review of COBA students' employment policy.
Last month there was some question and discussion about drug and alcohol testing policy related to Cobeson. I've had numerous conversations with Mr. Cobeson. He sent me the drug and alcohol policy. They believe that their processes and procedures are probably a little bit more rigid than ours. There was question about whether they would share information with us, but if someone fails the drug or alcohol policy, they are not driving bus for Cobeson. I'll assure that. There was more conversation informally about background checks, so I'll provide another, a similar document next month regarding the background check information that Cobeson does above and beyond their drug and alcohol policy.
Questions? Is that the information you're looking for, John?
I'm not so much worried about the drug and alcohol because it's regulated by DOT. It's more of the background checks and when they do those background checks. Because, I mean, in my mind, we want to make sure that they're doing them on a regular basis on the employees that they have because of their infractions while they're employed with us. our students are exposed to that. I need to understand why, or how they do it, the process.
Hopefully we'll have that next one. District calendar, 2021.
We're presenting two options for the district calendar for the upcoming school year. The first option has a break around the traditional Easter holiday. The second option has a break a little bit later in the spring. Administratively, we're recommending option number 2, but we do believe administratively, regardless of what option the board were to consider, that having some kind of extended time away in the lengthy spring of the school year is probably good, certainly for the students we serve, as well as the adults that are serving them. Also want to point out the Wednesday early release time. We're considering an early release on Wednesdays around 2 p.m. every Wednesday. The first and third Wednesdays of the month would give our horizontal teams an opportunity to meet and work on curricular and instructional issues together in a professional learning community model. The second Wednesday, we would have vertical meetings, so we would have a pre-K through 12th grade math team, pre-K through 12th grade social studies, science, and reading English language arts teams, as well as our exploratories and specials classes, so that we could better align our curriculum, K-12, and ensure that there aren't gaps in that curriculum. The fourth Wednesday would be a building meeting, more of a traditional building meeting, and there is one month next year that has a fifth Wednesday, and that will be my time to talk with the staff.
All day?
I would love it.
I know you would.
I don't know how much they would. But, yeah, so we're really hoping that having that time structured during the week, we'll have the opportunity to provide after-school care, starting a little bit early at the elementary and middle school levels, where I'll have an opportunity to use paraprofessionals to keep the library and cafeteria open for our high school students that are in co-curricular experiences, and we hope to start middle school and high school co-curricular experiences at 3:45 those nights, and so get our staff out of meetings at a reasonable time and still provide those experiences for our students.
Will you have something for the high school students that can't leave the building and need to stay for sport?
Yeah, we'll have I think I said we'll have the cafeteria commons area staff,
Okay.
and then the library staff as well, if not other areas, at least as a starting point. And we're hoping that provides an opportunity for students to get work done as well during that time period.
Thank you.
So the first day of school would really be the third, first?
The first day of school is dictated by state law. I don't have the calendars open, I was just talking.
Yeah, it's written on the top there, September 1st, so we should written the third.
Okay, all right, that's clerical.
Yep, just something.
Yep, thank you, Jim.
So is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve calendar B, or option 2.
Option 2. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made by Jim, seconded by Jeff to approve the 2020-2021 district calendar option 2 with the spring break.
I'm sorry.
Discussion.
A couple other things. Because we have that early release on Wednesdays, we calculated time today, and we'll probably have historically we've had 6 or 7 snow days built in the calendar. With this calendar, we would have 4. So understand that we may be adding a day at the end of the school year. I want you to be aware of that. The second thing, we don't have parent-teacher conferences woven into the schedule yet. But we do provide time for our teachers to do that, so I want you to be aware that those days, we've had some conversation. Parent-teacher conferences are going to look potentially a little bit differently across the grade levels, which I think is a fine, because kids have different needs across those days.
Is there going to be an opportunity, I know AFE has asked for one in the fall and one in the spring, is there going to be an opportunity possibly to do that for them?
At least.
Is there any more discussion? Go, Jeff.
So, I don't disagree as far as option B. A couple things that weren't pointed out. As a parent who likes to do spring break, the fact that you're not tying it to Easter makes it cheaper to go on spring break, believe it or not. If you go to some Caribbean countries during spring break and it's tied to Easter, you can't do certain activities. I'm glad that we're looking at spring break. I think it's important that everybody takes, a little time away, spend time with their family. If you're going somewhere, great. If you're not, you get to spend time with your family and away from work. So I support it wholeheartedly.
And the other thing that I think I mentioned last month, as we were talking about this, historically, our district has approved 2 years at once, but because this is somewhat of a radical change with the early release, we're really only recommending 1 year so that we have an opportunity to assess how things are going and bring that information back to you throughout the year.
I know you said that we would cut down possibly to 4 snow days instead of 6. If we got maybe the 5th day, would you eliminate some of the Wednesdays, possibly make up that time or no?
We'd really like not to. If anything, we might consider extending the day a little bit. You can pick up a surprising amount of time, extending the day 5 minutes either way. So something along those lines as a first resort, and then the worst case scenario would be adding days to the end of the school year.
Remind me again, how many days Coviston, the bus service, how that impacts?
179, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, 179 is the max, and then I just took that. Yeah, it's in there. Is it 174? If we go under 174, 174 days, then we have to pay a differential. But I don't think we will with this this particular calendar option. But I'll tell you in just a second here. I apologize. It's 174. Is it 174? All right, thank you.
Is there any questions or comments? Hearing none, we'll start this vote with Melissa.
Yes.
Ron.
Yes.
Jeff.
Yes.
Joanne.
Yes.
Ken. Yes. Jim.
Yes.
Kathy.
Yes.
My vote is yes, it passes 8-0. Open enrollment capacity.
Sure. So we talked a little bit about this a few months ago, but every January, every school district in the state of Wisconsin has to set their open enrollment capacity. You'll see that we have set ours and we base it on rolling the classes forward. It's a really hard predictor to go ahead and predict 4K. I mean, you don't know from year to year, but we're predicting around 80 for next year. And with that, you're looking at how big class sizes are and how many teachers. But the big thing that we have to take into consideration is open enrollment for special education students. So this was new, I think might have been 2015. We now have to set a cap for our special ed. At this time, when I factor our teacher to student ratio, I have the cap at 0 for special education. This could be due to, they could just have a speech IEP, or they could have significant needs and they need a para and have to hire people. But even looking at the smallest amount of services to the largest amount of services, right now we're pretty tight. So that's why we moved it. It used to be 1, but we moved it to 0. And we don't have a large open enrollment population as it is. We only have 24 students will open enrollment. So,
And how many of those currently are special ed students?
I think two,
I'm just racking my head.
two, possibly three. I know it's low.
Yeah, it's low.
Okay.
Usually they were ours, and then they became special ed. And
Okay.
It would just be hard to say, oh, sorry, now you.
Have we ever turned down anyone?
Have we turned down anyone? I don't think so. Have our special ed students been turned down by other districts when they try to open and roll out? Yes, it's very common. The cap is usually 0 to 1.
And then the only way they could get in is if they actually move in the district.
They have to move in the district, or they can deny special education services. So we've had students leave our district to open enroll, say, to another district, neighboring, and for them to, they had to cease special education services. So they moved into the other district, and they had to deny special ed services. So that family that left, their kids who were getting speech and language here no longer get that in another district. So the parent always has that opportunity. But then if you want to go ahead and say, I want speech suddenly, most of the time you're like, no, that was part of the
application.
Yeah.
Is there any more questions? We'll need a motion for this, correct?
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion made by Jeff, second by Ken to approve the open enrollment seats for the 2020-2021 school year. Try to say that fast. Discussion.
And that includes that whole list, including elementary cost, categorical 0.
Everything. Prior, we had just 0 for the ISP programs. Now we're just 0 across the board.
Okay.
We have a very high percentage of students with IEPs to begin with, and it's probably not in their best interest or our students, current students' best interest to keep introducing more students with differentiated needs into our system.
But we're still going to add like 5 students per grade for the lower ones and 10 for the middle and high school.
And you can go higher with the upper grades because the teacher-student ratio doesn't play as large of a role in their learning.
I want to read the motion one more time because I don't think I read it correctly. Motion made by Jeff, second by Ken to move to declare the following number of spaces available for open enrollment students for the 2020-2021 school year. With that, is there any more discussion? Hearing none, we'll start this over. Ron?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yes.
Joanne?
Yes.
Ken?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Kathy?
Yes.
Melissa?
Yes.
And my vote is yes, it passes 8-0. School district report cards, Grand Marsh Elementary.
Last month, I shared the general district report card and wanted to bring back a couple of district report cards at a time. So this month, we wanted to talk about Grand Marsh in the middle school. This is not a current picture of Grand Marsh. This is a picture of Grand Marsh last year. So this is how the students did last year on student assessment, state report card data. And the interesting thing about Grand Marsh is some of the factors. So if you look down the left-hand column, if you just go down to the bottom of the page, on the left-hand side where it talks about school information, a couple of the factors that are really stacked against Grand Marsh, again, last year, the number of students with disabilities. So 1 in 4 students was an individual with a disability, and almost 9 out of 10 students were economically disadvantaged. And we know that the 2 variables that are most highly associated with how students do on report card data are socioeconomic circumstance, so that economically disadvantaged number, and parents' level of education. And that school districts, school buildings are a reflection of the communities that they serve. And I love going to Grand Marsh. The teachers there are working really hard. They're doing a really good job. It's just the cards are somewhat stacked against them. So it's difficult for me to look at this and read that that building meets few expectations when I know the good things that are happening there. It's frustrating. But we continue to try to work on what we know will help that building and those students over time. The next building is the middle school. Again, the middle school is an exceptional place. Good things are going on there every day. I believe the commitment to growth at the middle school is very strong and exists. They just haven't historically done particularly well on report card data. And again, it's painful to see these results. I believe moving to the calendar where we have an opportunity built in during the week to talk horizontally across grade levels and then vertically between grade levels around content area is going to make a huge difference. And Mr. Robinson shared some of the things that the staff at the middle school are doing to try to combat these scores. So, single snapshot, this is where it currently is at. I believe it will be a baseline, and I believe hopefully over time we continue to improve these scores.
Do you think with the curriculum changes as well, will it be impactful?
I don't like to guarantee, but I mean, I think without a question, I think our curriculum is a place to start. And once we have a research-based, standards-aligned curriculum in place, we'll be able to start focusing on the art and science of teaching, where right now I don't believe that we have across the grade levels a research-based, standards-aligned curriculum that we're exposing kids to. It's problematic, and you've heard me talk about that before.
Questions? Comments? Thank you.
Thank you.
Review and discuss WASBA proposed resolutions.
There are two that I'm particularly interested in that I may have mentioned earlier. The first would be transportation aid for high poverty school districts, and the second is the weighted factor related to student funding. I think those are critical. If we could get another 0.2% for every student or 20% for every student in our district that's designated as economically disadvantaged, it would be quite a windfall for and we'd be able to use that money to make an impact on the kids and families we're serving.
At CISA 5, we talked about the resolutions also, and I brought up the same one you brought up about the busing, the transportation aid for high poverty districts. And I told our delegate there that they need to even go farther with this and say that they really need to look at how many kids per square mile it really is and give the money appropriately to them. And I asked our WASBA representative to actually speak to that. And the worst thing about it is our representative is from Two Rivers, who's got under 750 kids, who receives this aid, and that basically, her aid might not exist if we get our aid. But as a delegate, you have to do what's best for the people in your area, and we have to do what's right. The other one that I looked at was 2009 mental health categorical aid, where $35 per 25 the first year, 35 the second year, and $50 the third year, which they'll never agree to that because it's always a 2-year biennium. So we'd only get the first 2 years. It's a nice ask, But I would love to have it, but I don't know if they would ever do that. It's quite a cost, big price tag. And the last thing I talked about with CISA 5 is they need to narrow their scope a little bit when they come to some of these, because if they approved, went after and got everything they asked, nobody in the state could afford what they're going to pay the school districts. I hate to say it. They have to really look at what they really, really want and can't live without, instead of going after 17 or 18 of these resolutions and everybody thinks they're going to get that slice of the pie. So I wish they would narrow their scope a little bit instead of this. Also, somebody spoke at CISA about, there's a resolution about mascots. And of course, we have somebody in our conference that has a mascot of Indians. And it would be nice if they would make a statement that would, if they're going to make those people change, that they give them money to change, because it's a cost to change your mascot, and people don't realize that when they say, oh, they could just change. Well, signage to uniforms to letterhead to, there's quite a cost that's associated with that. And some of those schools have talked to the local Indian population, and they have found that some Indian groups like to have their mascot there. So it's a hard one to say yes or no to, so I would rather have our delegate decide what they want to do with that one. So.
And all of these are advisory.
Right.
Right, so these go to our elected officials and they can do with them what they want, but I do believe it's important to at least have a...
But they are a guide for our lobbyists.
Correct, they are.
They are a guide for the lobbyists from WASBA that's what they're going to hone in on if they ever get to the floor of the committee.
Is that mascot issue in this?
Yes.
Yes.
Who is? 2010?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
The person who spoke on it was from Baraboo, because their Thunderbird is also kind of included in that mascot issue. Anything else on resolutions? With that, we're going to elect a WASBA delegate. Correct?
We should, yes.
Yes.
I move to appoint Jim Bays as our delegate.
Second.
Jeff. Motion made to make Jim Bays our WASBA delegate. Discussion. Hearing none, we'll start this vote with Ron.
Yes.
Jeff.
Yep.
Joanne.
Yes.
Ken.
Yes.
Jim. Jim.
I'll abstain.
All right.
Oh,
Kathy.
Yes.
Melissa.
Yes.
Motion 7-0 with one abstention. While we're on that, do we want to make a motion that he should vote? Yes. So we need,
I just wanted to interrupt. The reason I can't find it is we're missing a page.
Oh.
No, we're missing a lot of pages.
A lot
Well,
of pages.
oh.
That's
There's only 23.
why. When I was looking to see.
Oh, okay.
So.
I apologize.
See, I had some mailed, I had a hard copy mailed to me,
Yeah,
so that's
he
what I
had,
did.
and that's why I was like,
Yeah, because it goes from
I
21
can't,
to like.
yeah.
Well, if you look on the page numbers, it's all the odd numbers. I'm really not sure where the even number pages.
Maybe they're on the back.
On the back.
No, I think the ones I had were printed both sides.
That's right.
So, but I need a motion to let Jim vote the way he'd like to vote.
Thank you.
So moved.
Second.
But it's with our recommendation.
No,
You're allowing him to vote
well,
his
actually,
conscience.
it's vote his conscience. Motion made by Jeff, second by Joanne to allow Mr. Bays to vote his conscience at the WASBA delegation. Discussion. Hearing none, we'll start this with Jeff.
Yes.
Joanne.
Yes.
Ken.
Yes.
Jim.
Yes.
Kathy.
Yes.
Alyssa.
Yes.
Ron.
Yes.
My vote is passes 8-0. Moving on. Logging and timber sales.
Okay, I promised to ask this question, so it's for the board. When's the best time to plant a tree?
Fall.
You get one more guess.
30 years ago.
Summer.
Spring.
100 years ago.
Ah.
You can thank Donna for that one. I don't know where she came from. Anyway, going on with that, I gave you a little map here. It just kind of shows you where our properties are, our school properties. So if you're ever driving around in your car, throw it in there. If you want to go mushroom hunting or check out some cool properties. Russia Cree is one of them. On that little property there, if you walk to the back side of it, there's some cool ponds and stuff back there. And it's just kind of a neat property. You know what I mean? You can sit against a tree and just kind of look around. Just some beautiful properties that we have. Our timber is getting to that point now where we're getting more and more away from the pulp and more towards your bolts and your cabin logs, that kind of stuff, and lumber, which is a good thing. The other thing is the undergrowth is getting really heavy and thick. Right now we're doing an 80 down on Ember Avenue, east of County B. And that's the same piece we worked on about 2.5 years ago. That'll finish up that project for a while. That's some beautiful ground. Got a lot of wildlife habitat and stuff, and it's really thick. It was kind of cool. I went down there, and the guys were doing their work, and I could hear the machines, but yet I couldn't find the guys doing the work. This list I gave you here, it just kind of gives you my estimated property values, just taking comparables. It just kind of gives you a view of what our properties are worth. To give you an idea, we had Hayes Timberworks. They won the bid, and that was a while back now. They finally got rolling on it. One of our problems we had was due to the large amount of ground that they're clearing in the Big Flats Rome area, Big Flats Monroe Center Rome area, to create that wild habitat that they're doing, which is a great project. The problem is it flooded the market, and we couldn't get anyone to buy our pulp. So it was kind of a struggle there just a little bit. And then also there was a blowdown in kind of the northeast portion of Wisconsin that created this huge amount of timber that came in. So it literally slowed us up a little bit. We still got some decent money out of it, but that was one of our problems that we had early on. To give you an idea where we sell our product, I thought maybe that'd be interesting to everybody. Domtar and Verso, they buy our pulp. Beaver Lumber, they're buying the 12-foot saw logs that we're cutting on the red pine. So I'm assuming it's for log cabins, that kind of stuff. Tritz Forest Products, they're right before you get into Rapids on the left-hand side. They're doing the white pine logs. And then Valley View Logs is also another one that Ron sells too. So to give you an idea of the number of loads we took out of there, it's around 47 loads. I believe we're right towards the end of that. I don't believe there's any more coming in now. We did red pine 12-foot logs. We were getting $23 a ton. Average load that they hauled out was $640 to $680. Pulp, $15 a ton. That's even now, it's way down from what it was years ago when I used to cut a lot of wood. But yeah, that's way down. That's about $440 a load. And then white pine logs, they go by the cord on those, $45 a cord right now. And an average load was about $550. So it kind of gives you an idea. Now, I don't know if any of you guys know Terry Wilson at all. She works at the DNR station. A very talented lady. She goes through and she marks our forest. And I mean, when I went down there where they were doing this work, I'm not kidding you, I couldn't find the machines. It was so thick. So I can't imagine her crawling through there. She literally marks every individual tree that they cut for this select harvest that they do. And she came and told me that before we approved the bid, that she figured there was around $25,000 worth of logs and material there, and pulp. If you'd like to know the price, it came back $26,532.85. So I mean, to be that close in a forest that was just a tangled mess, I just can't believe it. The next piece that she's going to be working on, and there, because the logs are so big, we're going to do a 50% take on that, so we should get some pretty decent money out of that. And that's over by Spears Asparagus there. And anyway, it's at 40 kind of kitty corner across from there. They'll be going through that, and basically what they'll be doing is taking 50% of the product out of there. And that'll get that in good shape. And then the next piece that'll be after that will be Castle Rock Grade School Forest parcel, and that's right across from the Castle Rock Park. And then the piece after that will be the Brooks School Forest. And that's a 20-acre piece over on First Avenue in Ember. So anyway, those are kind of the areas that they're going to be heading next. And if you guys ever have any questions or you want to see the pulp slips or anything, I keep all of this in my office. So if you're interested in any of this stuff, come take a look. But we do have some beautiful, beautiful property. And like I said, if you ever get a chance, you should just drive around and take a peek at it, take a walk. We are gonna, I already talked to Brian, I gave him a map. We did a little bit of this last year and the year before, but we've got a brush hog set up for our bobcats. And what we're gonna do is go in and work our trails even a little more. Number one, it'll make it easier for the harvest, but number two, it'll give us good, if we ever have a fire or anything, it'll allow the guys to get in there quick and get the fires put out. And then we might do a little bit of cable, just cable gates, just to kind of keep people. We had a little garbage over in Russia Creek where they drove in and dumped a load of garbage on us, microwaves and a bunch of stuff there. So we had that at one time, so we might put a little bit of cabling up, but feel free to walk around and have a good time.
Any questions? Moving on, executive session, consider adjournment to closed session under 19.851C, consider employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation of any public employee or its governmental body has jurisdiction or exercise responsibility. To wit, non-renewal to administrative duty, elimination of an administrative position. Is there a motion?
So, second.
Jim?
Yeah.
Jeff?
Yes.
Motion made by Jim, seconded by Jeff to go to closed session. Discussion. Hearing none, we'll start this one with Jeff.
Yes.
Joanne?
Yes.
Ken?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Kathy?
Yes.
Melissa?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Passes 8-0. 5 minutes.